After crossing the Gulf of Carpentaria into the Northern Territory, we head north from Gove to go through the Gugari Rip, or the Hole in the Wall. We leave Gove early, trying to time our arrival for the slack water at the turn of tide, but we made an oversight and didn't allow for the weather and tide around Cape Wilberforce.
Shit.
Check the handles.
Yeah, I reckon. Jesus Christ.
What, that's good up.
I don't like looking that way. We've got massive tide against current.
Tide against current. Current against us.
Oh, current against us. God, I can't even speak. Too busy shitting myself over these bloody waves.
Yeah, you got anyway, head start, that's the way right over there. What do you think of that passage?
Too rough, too shitty,
Yeah, it was a bit rough. There's a bit of white water through there.
stressful.
Yeah, quite exciting. Good morning, it's day 50. We are anchored at the back of Cotton Island. We're waiting to go through the hole in the wall, the Gugari Rip, through the Wessel Islands. So we had a bit of a rough passage coming around the point yesterday, so we're definitely getting the tide right on this one because it was quite nasty and standing up the waves and a bit of a worry at a few points. So I think we got today's tide correct, and we'll give it a crack and see what today's passage is like.
We're just approaching Hole in the Wall. We've had to reduce sails to slow down as we want to get there on the turn of the tide, or an hour after turn of tide. Turn of tide. So yeah, so we're down to just a very small genoa, a little bit of genoa out.
We're just getting close to the Gugari Rip, or Hole in the Wall, and we've been having debate for the last 24 hours about what the tide is, and this is our dilemma that we've got. So over this side of the island, we're having a look at our tide, and it says that we're nearing high tide, so it's in about a half hour's time. But our predicament is, we scroll just slightly up here, and here's another tidal station, and this one says that we're nearing low tide. We're only a couple of miles apart, but the tides are exactly the opposite. So we're not sure which tide station we're supposed to be using. We believe it's this one, Hopeful Bay, but we'll soon find out whether it's high tide or low tide and which way the water's flowing when we get there, but at least the turn of the tide's about the same. The Gugari Rip can flow at up to 10 knots, well in excess of our maximum boat speed, with both engines going flat out.
Beautiful blue. Sun has just come out. Perfect. Look at this rock formation, it's amazing. Pretty cool.
4 knots of current pulling us through.
4 knots of current still pulling us through, and this is after an hour after when the tide has changed. So you can see it flying past there. 5 knots, far out, and we're not even using a motor. Jesus, that's how fast it's flowing. We're moving with no motors, just enough to keep us straight.
Trying to get a video of Alleycat in the background there, and I'm trying to get the moon on top of its mast. The moon is disappearing in the background. We left 5 o'clock this morning to head down Brown Strait between the Wessel Islands, and we're heading into the very narrow strip of the Cadell Strait. Now, because we haven't got a lot of internet here, we have no information about it, so we're a bit worried if we can get through. But we've had a ripping current of up to 4 knots pushing us down, so we're getting 12 knots. And we hit the Cadell Straits almost at high tide just before, so we've got perfect timing. And just as we're coming through, a ship's coming up, and he's marked the course for us, so it's perfect timing. So here's our ship. I've been plotting his course all the way across, and I'll just put another waypoint in now. And another new waypoint. And so I've now plotted his entire course the way he came out of the strait, but we've got this very tight access through here. Some spots is only a couple hundred metres, but we're also worried that it also says through here at whirlpools. So a bit worried about the strength of things.
So we're about the middle, aren't we, here?
We're at the pinch point of the so we've just come into the real tight bit, so we're about the middle of it where it gets narrow. And that's the narrow bit we're going through now. Quite a squeeze.
We still got 2.7
Gallywinku, I think. I think that's how you say. I don't know. It's very dirty water. A strip that makes you panic when you're sailing because you don't know if it's actually the bottom or dirty water. So we're just coming up to Haularound Island to have a look to see if it's okay to anchor here. The bay we're heading to, which is Rolling Bay, looks like it's got too much of a swell rolling in today, so we might give it a miss. As you can see, it's not much of an island. Lots of birds, I think. Yeah, could be a nice island to explore, but not a big fan of that little creature on the beach there. His tail got moved from the wave, and the swell's rolling through, so not a fan. Not a fan of the swell.
As Haularound Island wasn't suitable to anchor, we pushed on a little further to Hawkesbury Point,
Got
Rolling
your little
Bay.
box.
I can't steer from here, it hits me.
I know, it's gonna have to suck it up.
Great.
So what have you been on? So we're approaching Hole in the Wall. What rip is it? What's the rip called?
We're approaching Hole in the Wall or Gugari Rip.
Oh, I'll just call it the Hole in the Wall.
Hole in the Wall.